Yellow. Happy Halloween. Rah.
Hey there, Internet! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to the party. If you're an old friend returning, welcome back. Let's jump right into this video, shall we? Rehearsal the other night went pretty well. I had a good time as Puck. I can't remember if I've made a video update, so I'll edit that if I have. I had a good time finding new physicalities for Puck, especially in the later scenes in the play as Puck has kind of come along and tried new things, made her mistakes at that point. Got to play with a new interaction with the actors, which was fun. Not with the actual actors playing the actors yet, because that won't start for another week. But so much lighting shifting. But we just played with different little Puck things since we didn't have Titania there, so we had more room to mess around with the little things. She likes to just kick for the sake of kicking, even if she hasn't gone potty, because she's a precious baby, and I love her. I have been playing around mentally today with exactly how I want to style Puck's hair, with how we talked about this past week of Puck being more creature-like in her movements. I've been playing around with how to find a middle ground with braids, because that's come up a lot, and possibly adding something creature-like by way of her hair, maybe some kind of horns, or just do something to be kind of more ethereal and otherworldly. But I'm not quite sure. I like the horn idea, although then that leaves a lot of extra hair, and I don't know if a braid would look good for the rest of it. Yeah. Or I could do some kind of high buns and put branches in it or something to be more one with the forest. I don't know, but I've been having a lot of fun thinking about that, and when I'm not thinking about that, I am trying desperately to get the My Mistress with a Monster is in Love monologue memorized, because the second half, man, the freaking second half of this monologue keeps tripping me up. I get as far as away these fellows fly, or away his fellows fly, but the second half of the monologue, which I know the idea of, for some reason those lines just don't want to get into my head. I have been rehearsing the frick out of it in and around the house today when not at work, but it's definitely gonna need some more work. Luckily tomorrow I don't have work except for some dog stuff, so I can just bring my script to the dog whose house I'm sitting and just do my best to knock it out running lines with a dog. Honestly, I think in terms of getting your lines memorized, yes, reading the lines is good. Yes, listening to things is good. Also, speaking it aloud will greatly help you get memorized, especially for Shakespeare. It's all well and good to have it in your head, but there's almost a muscle memory kind of a thing, and it might just straight up be muscle memory type thing associated with speaking your lines aloud and feeling how it is in your body, similar to dance. I could watch a move all day long, but to really start understanding that move or to get it memorized, I need to start doing it physically, start moving as whatever teacher is moving. And with these lines, it's the same thing. I might have them playing in my head, but it's a whole nother step to actually be speaking them aloud and finding the rhythms and finding the cadence and keeping the sentences in line, because especially with Shakespeare, it's so structured, but it's also intended to be spoken, at least this show is intended to be spoken naturally. So the first sentence of Bus after My Mistress with a Monster is in Love is, when she, near her close and consecrated bower, while she were in her dull and sleeping hour, a group of patches, rude mechanicals who worked for bread upon Athenian stalls, came together to rehearse a play intended for the great Theseus' nuptial day. That's me talking really quickly through it.
I've noticed when I'm rehearsing it aloud and either here or at the theater, it's really easy to fall into the old habit of breaking it up as it is written. So, when she were in her near her close and consecrated bower, when she were in her dull and sleeping hour, a group of patches, rude mechanicals that work for bread upon Athenian stalls, came together to rehearse. See, you fall into a certain rhythm that you're used to seeing it done on paper. So the more you speak it aloud, the more you can hear those things that you're doing, and the more you can work to fix it and make it sound more natural. I've gotten pretty good at that in certain monologues. This specific monologue I'm still working on in general, and also on the whole cadence thing. I think once I'm fully memorized, it'll be a lot easier, because I know I'm probably overthinking it a lot due to the lack of memorization in the second half. Anyway, I'm gonna make some dinner, and then we have a D&D session tonight, so I have to prepare for that. Bye. It is late Tuesday night. I did not vlog much this week. I was kind of feeling out of it. Been laying around the last day and a half when I'm not at work, rehearsing my lines, because I'm really feeling the pressure to get memorized. Because we were supposed to already be, but I got stuck on a monologue, and it pushed me back. But I've been trying to knock out some of the harder monologues. Mostly through the hard ones, and then I just have Philostrate, his final scene, and then final monologues for Puck, which are basically right after each other, so kind of one big monologue. I am dog sitting tonight. There's a sweet baby. She's a very sleepy girl. She's had a hard day of being adorable. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for me to freak out about my fucking lines. We are, to the best of my knowledge, doing the entire show tonight, and the last scene I am still having trouble with getting memorized. There is a solid page full of Philostrate telling Theseus why the play he wants to see sucks and why he shouldn't see it. And then Puck's two iconic ending monologues. And I'm not confident on my memorization for them yet. I've worked the other monologues a lot more. And I have the bad feeling that those are gonna be what we look at the most tonight. And I just don't want to feel like a failure or let anybody down. And I know if I'm not perfect, that it's not gonna be the end of the world. We still have a whole nother month to go. But I tend to hold myself to a high expectation, which has not been healthy for most of my life, and it probably will lead to at least a tiny bit of my depression, so yeah, bad habits. But I will get finished playing with the doggo I'm currently playing with. Still playing one-handed tug-of-war, like you saw in one of my previous episodes. I will get done with this. I will head home, eat a very late lunch, because it is almost time for sunset. Whoops. And then just sit down with my lines for an hour and a half. I will throw some breaks in there, because I know my mind can't focus for an hour and a half straight on memorization. I started reading a really good book last night called The Hazelwood. I haven't read a book for fun in a hot minute. And this book is right up my alley in terms of like supernatural things and a really relatable main character. And I'm just having a lot of fun with it. I think I'm already on page 150. And I've only been reading it for like a couple hours, which used to be slow for me. But I've gotten so out of the habit of reading books for fun. I think by virtue of late high school and all through college, you kind of had to only read for, I mean, not have to, but I did a lot of reading only for school because there was just so much reading material. So I got out of the habit of reading and reading quickly through books I like. So we are building up that muscle again, and I'm doing it through the hazelwood, which is spooky, and I'm liking it so far. I wish the pace would go a little faster. It's taken a minute for it to wind up, especially considering the inside cover talks about this one message she gets to stay away from the hazelwood. And that message just came up. So, but that said, it has been a really fun book to read so far. Don't let that one criticism shy you away from it. It is a really good time, and I am quite liking it. Now I need my arm to throw this to a doggo, so I am going to clock out. For this week's topic, jumping off the last video's idea of costuming, we're going to talk about hair. Now, for every show, it's going to be different. Some have wigs, some don't. Some are more stylized, some are more natural. It all depends on what kind of direction and vision your creative team has for the character design show. That said, if you have a more intricate hairstyle, or if you're going under a wig, the sooner you can start prepping for that, the better. I don't have to do a whole lot hair-wise for Puck. It's looking like it's just gonna end up like braids and maybe a ponytail, which is relatively simple. But if you have a more intricate hairstyle, or if you have longer hair and are going under a wig, the sooner you can get used to A, that feeling, and B, that process of getting ready, the better. One of my first shows in college, I had, at that point, waist-length hair, and I was supposed to be under a swim cap. Yeah. So, I would get there an hour before everybody else, me and one sweet, sweet girl who was on crew, and we would just start pin curling all of this. For those who don't know what pin curling is, and again, I am so not a hair expert, but I'm trying here. Pin curling is essentially you take a bit of your hair, this might be a small amount and also my hair's up, but take a bit of hair and you kind of twirl it until it's small, and then very slowly kind of just, it's going messy, but make little circles. So you do rings around rings around rings, like this, kind of. If you can see, this is messy and I'm holding it down. But just circle until it's as flat as it can be, and then you would take bobby pins and just pin that down. And it should stay relatively flat. The more hair you use, the trickier it's gonna be for it to get flat, because there's just more hair, and your hair wants to go up and out. That can be useful, having bigger pin curl bumps. Tip that I want everyone to know and learn and love: if you're wearing a wig, put 2 pin curl bumps right here, like little horns, or just, it's gonna be an anchor for your wig. It's okay if those 2 are a bit bigger, a bit chunkier, because then when you put the wig cap and the wig on, if it tries to slide back, it hits these and it won't slide off your head. That's made life a lot easier for me in general and as someone with thicker hair. Now you can pin curl everything, that's gonna take a long time. The more hair you have and the thicker your hair is, the more time it's gonna take to get everything whittled down, twirled down, pinned down, and that can be a lot of work. If you have a lot of hair like me and you don't have as much time, you can also braid it. So if my hair needed to go under a wig, as it is, I would section it off bit by bit and maybe do, well, my hair's pretty thick, so I would have to do more braids, but take one braid here and then wrap it up and over, take another braid here, wrap it up and over, do a braid in the back, wrap that up, do the same thing on this side to basically get all of your hair up here. That will be a little trickier, again, depending on how many braids you do, how thick your hair is, blah, 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 as the braids will naturally be thicker and larger. So it's not gonna get as pressed down as if you were doing pin curls, but if you don't have as much time or what have you, it'll get the job done. The sooner you can start practicing with what you're doing on your head, like with costumes, the sooner you can get more comfortable, especially if you're not used to doing whatever style it is. If you're supposed to have just really in-depth ringlets, start doing those as soon as you can, because though it might not sound like a huge change, something like that, it too can affect how you feel in the character. If you have these cylinders of hair that move in one seeming piece with you, and if you, like me, have a nasty habit of just running your hands through your hair all the time, you can't do that if you have stylized hair that you need to stay in style. So that's gonna make you have to fight your habits. It's also gonna just contribute to that feeling of being in costume and being in whatever period is. If you're, jump off that one last video's thing about hoop skirts, because I focused in on hoop skirts. If you're in like Victorian era corsets and hoop skirts and you have very refined hair, it's gonna change how you feel in the character. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it's gonna help you get to a better place of feeling as stiff or lucid or what have you as the character. Because everything about you influences how you carry yourself. How your hair feels that day, the outfit you're wearing, influences how you carry yourself as a regular person. Right now, I'm in a pretty flowy sweater, an easy tank top, and I've got really comfortable pants on. So today, I'm carrying myself pretty loose. If you put me in a business suit, say I'm going to an interview, naturally, without thinking about it, I hold myself different. My shoulders are farther back, I'm standing up straighter, I'm thinking about how I'm walking, right? So as soon as you can, if it's possible, start prepping your hair. If you can emulate the style, go for it. You might not be able to get your hands on the wig you're using until closer to the show, which will be tricky, so then you will have to do it a bit more last minute, but start practicing your pin curls or your braiding or whatever you're gonna do now, because if nothing else, that'll save you some time down the road, because once you hit tech, you'll know how much time you need, you'll know what technique works best for you, so then you don't have an, oh crap, I only gave myself 10 minutes, I am barely done with pin curling, oh no, moment. We don't want that. We want you to be as prepared and happy and ready to kick as much butt as possible. So, practice, 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 practice. And you've got this. You can do it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe while you can, hit that bell so you get notifications every time I post a new video. And thanks for indulging my creative side. Bye!